Hello and welcome to the Irish NFL show, coming to you from Radio Row here in New Orleans, Louisiana, as we are looking forward to Super Bowl 59. I'm sitting here. My name is Shane Brennan. I'm here with Noel Dowling and Brian O'Leary. We are sitting in the same room, lads. It's very rare that we're actually not on some sort of video call and chatting in the same room. The last thing we were in the same was, of course, in Buskers on the Ball. And I know as much as we're having fun here in New Orleans, if you are in Dublin or in or around the Dublin area, make sure you head out to the official NFL UK and Ireland Super Bowl 59 watch party in Buskers on the Ball, which is on Sunday night. The game kicks off at 11:30 Irish time. Make sure you're there if you can make it. It's going to be a fantastic night there, as it will be here. I was chatting to Chris Brockman earlier for something that which people will be able to access in their feed, and he was certainly anticipating a high-scoring game, and we will get into that in a second. But firstly, guys, you're looking fairly fresh considering you had a long day of travel yesterday. You managed to have, what, a few hours laying over in the halls of the Big Glue in northern New Jersey?
We had 6.5 hours, but the 6.5 hours for me was the most enjoyable I've had for quite some time, because look, we all love our teams, good or bad, and we've had some really difficult seasons. Noel thought he was onto a winner after coming out of London, and unfortunately went very wrong for the Bears. But yesterday we had the opportunity to go to the Giants facilities, the Quest Diagnostic Centre, and visit
this the full name in. Just get it in. Make sure you get it.
Yeah, and we got to thank Jennifer Escalante or Jennifer Connolly. She's still unsure which name she should be leading off, but she went above and beyond for us yesterday to give us the tour of the facilities, from the locker room to the weight room to the video room. Met an abundance of staff. They fed us. They drove us back to the airport. Joe Shane, the general manager, who some people may love or hate right now, who's remained in situ as the Giants GM, went out of his way to come down, and he acknowledged who we were. He remembered being on the podcast. It was the week in which he was going golfing in Scotland. So look, and then he gave us loads of merchandise to bring home. I mean, I think Noel will vouch for this, even despite the fact that he's not a Giants supporter. We were well and truly looked after, and it was a fantastic day.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. It was funny. I've been in New Orleans since Monday, and I was had a 3-day layover in Miami beforehand, where there's a lot of New York fans hopping about and a lot of Philadelphia fans out there as well. The Philly fans sort of really are bringing out their colours, and it's funny. Along the Canal Street here, it's kind of the main thoroughfare in the city. There's a shop that's selling beads, as you almost get with just about everything. Beads here in New Orleans, even here, was the ones we were given in the media party on Tuesday night, but the ones with the NFL team logos on it. And I was having a look back, and you could see like all the college logos, all the NFL team logos. What was missing? Atlanta Falcons. They wouldn't, those are dirty birds, which are just not welcome in the city at all. Considering that they're being completely inundated. Really completely inundated with Eagles fans. It was great. There was an Eagles fan car driving not around where we were staying in the French Quarter. This Humvee sort of done up in full Eagles colours, and it's like nobody likes us and we don't care. That is definitely the mantra of the Eagles fans. And Noel, I noticed your first time in New Orleans as well, or sorry, on Radio Row as well. Your first impression as to what this is like. I mean, I'm probably coming out as somebody who works in the media sphere professionally, and even for me, I'm like, this place is nuts. Like as we're sitting here, what can we see now? The Pat McAfee show is there, Florio was there, Sirius XM is there, which has a bunch of different big radio shows. I mean, just try to give us the franchise saga is here, and thank you very much, guys. If anyone who's watching Franchise Saga, our friends in the UK are letting us use their space for a couple of things we've been doing this week. So, what has been your initial impression of just how crazy this place is, even outside of the wonderfully colourful city that we are sitting in?
Yeah, look, it's been amazing. As you say, it's my first time here in Radio Row, and Brian was trying to let me know what to expect and what I'd be seeing, and even then it kind of surpasses that when you come in. I mean, I think for the first couple of minutes, everywhere I walked, I was like, Brian, there's such and such, and there's someone else, and you were like, constantly.
The amount of players going around here was nuts. Like I was trying to get to Drew Brees earlier, and he was chaperoned by like 3 people who work for Aldi. I didn't even know Aldi was a thing over here.
No, it's the same thing. But and it's someone like it's former players, who are in the media now, or even who aren't as active in the media, but are just here. It's obviously current players who are here, who are kind of floating about, and then you've got a lot of young players who, in April are going to hope to be NFL players, and you see those kind of names coming around here. So look, it's phenomenal. I've seen some wrestling champions walking around and other people. So look, it's an amazing experience, and it's so big. I didn't expect the size of it. I know Brian had told me about it, but this place is massive, and it's just full, as you say, of stars and radio stations and people who you listen to and watch on telly a lot, and here they are kind of walking behind you and walking across and saying hello. So look, it's a great atmosphere, and it's a phenomenal experience. I mean, for myself, and I'm sure for you guys to be able to come in here and do this.
Oh, yeah, it's nuts. I mean, even the opening ceremony on Monday night, which is in the stadium, people might have seen what went up all across our social channels. It was that was kind of crazy because Guillermo from the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Yes.
Did you not watch the Jimmy Kimmel show? No. So I was standing there trying to ask Andy Reid a question, and he sort of butts in with like a Hawaiian shirt with his own like Guillermo's face on it, and he's trying to like get Andy Reid to point to the ABC cameras, being like, look over there, and he goes to Andy Reid. Are you looking forward to the threesome? Obviously trying to make some class of a joke because they can't see the Chiefs are going for the three-peat. And I was like, how are we in a situation where there's 40 people trying to ask a question? Most of them are like, there's a bunch of them who are like trying to ask, X's and O's type questions. I asked them, what is the greatest or weirdest place you got inspiration for a play design? A few people asking about injury situations, and you have people trying to, like, from Nickelodeon. There was this Fox Sports guy whose question lasted about 40 seconds, but then his final was like, so after saying all that, what's your favorite color? The whole thing is just crazy, and it really extends to me what I think is the broad attraction that the NFL brings in its key event. It doesn't just bring in the statos and nerds like the Masters in golf, for example. Who's covering the Masters? Who's talking about the Masters in golf except golf fans? Which is not a knock on it, but it really shows that the level of popularity. And Brian, you'll be able to speak to this better than I can. You were there in Las Vegas last year. This is your fourth Super Bowl?
Fourth Super Bowl in a row.
Fourth
well, haven't I?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm nearly as good as Patrick Mahomes.
But he wasn't there the first time
the
Super Bowl you were in. That was the Rams and the Bengals. So one of the rare Super Bowls we've had that hasn't included anybody named Brady or Mahomes. So look, I think you've obviously have a much more breadth of experience in dealing with what Super Bowl week is, and just in the context of the game, is there a way that you have seen players in those media events, whether it's what's happened this week or what's been going on in the previous years that you covered, that give a sense that make you think, okay, that team is dealing with this media circus better than the other team?
That's a very good question, Shane. Yeah, I'll give you that one. The first year was unusual because it was just after COVID, and there wasn't really the level of scrutiny around the teams in terms of the exposure to get them. There was no first night in the stadium. It was very much the Friday, an opportunity to go out to visit the teams, and you had to make a decision which team you were going to go to, because the Rams were like 2.5 hours outside of LA, and the Bengals were quite close to the media center, so it was a no-brainer. And it was on UCLA's training pitch, and the weather was fantastic, and you're initially walking around, you have great access to go. Obviously, as the years have moved on and we've got back to that normal state, it's kind of transitioned back to what we were used to with the craziness. But it seems to be getting to another level. Like even the questioning you said this year, some of the questioning is, there's very few questions actually drilled to the people on Monday night from both sides around the game itself. It's all these bizarre questions, and we've got into them today, and various different outlets have come out over the course of the week in terms of some of the unusual questions. So it's just a scrum of bonanza questions that the players just don't know what's coming at them, where I think as you get to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you have the hotels and the media accessibility there, they're the more detailed media people who are going to arrive with, really grilling questions around the nature of what's going to happen on Sunday. In terms of preparation, I mean, the Chiefs are well used to this now. Like, they're so used to the situation, nothing unfazed them. We had the opportunity to go to the Fox piece today. I asked Jimmy Johnson, former Cowboys coach, around what his thought process was about energizing the players the night before the Super Bowl. And he said, I told the guys, don't make mistakes. The other team will certainly make mistakes. We'll turn the ball over and win the game. And Connor says it throughout the course of the season, the Chiefs rarely make mistakes. I know we get into this flags and there's all this conversation with referees, but as a team, they don't make many mistakes. And I imagine tomorrow night, Andy Reid will be saying, if we play our game, don't make mistakes. Let's allow the Eagles to make the mistakes. But right now, the Eagles are playing, and they're the ones turning the ball over. We've seen it consistently over the playoffs against the Packers, in the snow game against the Rams. We saw the Commanders, they turned the ball over. They're putting the pressure on the other team to make mistakes. So let's see Sunday who doesn't make those mistakes early, who's in the second half. But again, I think we're all in agreement. I don't think anybody's expecting this to be not even a blowout or a comprehensive victory for one side or the other. I think we all feel it's going to come down to a late fourth quarter drive, potentially field goal, similar Similar to 2 years ago in Arizona, 38-35, Chiefs came out on top. It'd be interesting to see if that's how it plays out on Sunday.
Yeah, we have to remember as well in the 3 Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes has won, the Chiefs have been down by 10 points and managed to come back late into the game. That's just the nature of how they have played football. And we were talking a lot about close games. You mentioned that Fox Media event. Julian Edelman was up on the stand. This wasn't the question I asked him. It was a couple beforehand, but somebody asked him about the Chiefs' ability to carry themselves across in close games. And Julian Edelman made the point, and I think, in fairness to Connor, I think he's made this, or he's carried this point as well from stuff that Edelman has said earlier in the season, is that when you are the top dogs, as the Patriots were, as the Cowboys were in Jimmy Johnson's day, as the Chiefs certainly are now, everybody brings your best stuff against it because they know, if we manage to get this victory here, and this, Edelman's words were, if we get this victory here, I know that the coach is going to protect his job, or the coordinator is going to look for a promotion, or the player is going to look for the bigger paycheck, because that is, in a season of 17 games, you only have 17 moments to impress, and that's probably one of them, not the biggest one. And it means that the Chiefs have probably faced a higher level of challenging opponents throughout the year, but yet they keep managing to eke out close win after close win after close win after close win. And surely that has to factor into how we view this, because, and I'm saying this knowing full well that for much of the season I've been like, lads, come on, these Chiefs are due a kicking. But the thing is, every time someone's taken a swing at them, they've gotten better. But the Spags defense has gotten a little bit stronger. Mahomes is that little bit better at extending the plays and finding his man. It's just these little things, and it makes the Chiefs as a unit, as a winning machine, such an incredible thing to watch.
I'll let Noel come in. There's one final point. I very much agree with what you're saying. Matt Derrick will be on the show on Saturday. We're live 7 o'clock Saturday evening, and from Chiefs Digest. When I did a podcast a few weeks ago, he talked about the fact that they didn't go unbeaten all season, and it was really an opportunity. They lost to the Bills. And in fairness, I think everybody by now would discount the loss against the Broncos, because essentially they played the third stringers. And if they had to have won that game, I think they would have found a way to win that game. So that Bills game was crucial for them. They went and beat the Bills in the championship game. So essentially they beat every team they've had to play this season. I know it's a bit strange that it's come around again. They've beaten every team. So they got one more to get over the line. But but it's in the nature of what you said. They find ways to win these games. And despite losing, they right the wrongs of that game and come out the right side in the championship game.
Yeah, no, it's I don't want to burn through too many of our talking points for what is our comprehensive Super Bowl preview show, which, as you said, will be on Saturday, and we're looking forward to the backdrop of that. Will be much more interesting. As great and all as this is, that is, I won't spoil it, but where we're going to be doing that on Saturday is pretty incredible. But in terms of the Eagles, and I guess a difference in their squad between now and when they played against the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57, we can talk about Vic Fangio coming in as a defensive force. We can talk about a few defensive players who've come in. I mean, again, we said on the show before how in the offseason the Eagles just picked every area which they needed to fix, and they went out and fixed it. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, two guys I had the chance to speak to on Tuesday, have been essential in how this defense is turning around. But the one thing which has defeated the Chiefs consistently in the playoffs, whenever they have lost, is somebody that, the point I'm trying to make is when they face against somebody with that sense of X factor. That's the only thing that can really upset them. That's what happened against Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game for the Patriots and the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. And that's what happened with that Bengals team before the Super Bowl you went to, Brian, when the Bengals managed to get over them in Arrowhead Stadium. So when you look at Saquon Barkley now in this Philadelphia setup, we can talk so much about how, statistically speaking, the run game probably isn't, or I think as Connor mentioned earlier in the show earlier this week, that the run game isn't as strong as it was before, or in 2 years ago, as it is now. The fact is, Saquon Barkley brings that X factor. And certainly, what is your view in terms of if that genuinely will translate into the Eagles having a better chance against a Chiefs team who, as we've mentioned before, have been here, done that, and have weathered so many storms to still remain on top of the mountain?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Saquon Barkley has come in and he's been a complete X factor for this team. And as you say, maybe the running stats don't match up in terms of numbers to previous years, but they didn't have this game-winning kind of X factor in there to actually take the game on his shoulders and take it to other teams. Now, obviously, he's got a really good offensive line there that really helps him out, that that can bully other teams and give him a good chance. And it's going to be interesting to see. You mentioned Spagnuolo, what his defense can do against a player like Barkley, because all season, nobody's really been able to stop him. You know, we talked about how he's played mistake-free football for a lot of this season. I know Brian mentioned before we talked about it, you know, this was a kind of a topic last year when it came to McCaffrey and the 49ers going up against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs were able to get a game plan and do what they needed to do. Can they do it again against Barkley this season? And that's going to be the question.
Yeah, just on that, I mean, obviously, for Barkley, facing against the Spags defense is tougher than a lot of what he has had to face this season. I was talking to somebody this week who was at pains to point out that in 9 games that Saquon Barkley has played this year, 9 of them have been against the 10 worst rush defenses in the league. And, you know, again, hey, you can only play what's in front of you. He's still got 2,000 yards a season, could potentially go up as high as 3,000 yards, depending on how things go on Sunday. You know, in terms of his output overall, he scored 3 touchdowns, and including a 60-yarder in the NFC Championship game. But you know, we still have to recognize that what we can expect from him and the difference he'll be able to make depends a hell of a lot on what he's up against. And that Chiefs red wall, or white wall as it will be this week, as they're wearing white jerseys again, you know, is one of, not the toughest challenge that he personally will have faced to this season.
Yeah, no, look, absolutely. I mean, the Chiefs are there for a reason, and we know what they've done. I mean, and you are right, you do have to look at the competition, but still, at the end of the day, you said it, he's gone and done what he needed to do. He's gone above and beyond against some of these teams, and other running backs who are good running backs haven't been able to do it as much. So, again, look, it's the big question going into this game. Can Saquon be the man and continue what he's done all season? I know I was talking today to an Eagles ESPN commentator, and what we were kind of talking about there was the importance maybe of Hurts in this game. Then, if Saquon Barkley, if Saquon Barkley can be slowed down a bit, it will be important then for Hurts to maybe step up and make that big play that can contribute to the win. And that's something that could happen if they focus too much on Barkley. But he is that X factor, and he is going to cause them problems. And it's just going to be interesting to see if the Chiefs defense can step up and slow him down.
I find word to you, Brian, because as we've seen consistently over a lot of Super Bowls, the players who we don't talk about in the week beforehand end up being the ones who make the key plays. Like even Malcolm Butler was walking around earlier, and you know, that's the moment which is his career, not even made his career. That's almost his entire career in that moment. So I don't know if you have a sense, and it's very difficult to predict these things as to who or what could happen that is sort of outside of the playbook, isn't something that we thought of that maybe could swing the game either way on Sunday.
I said on Monday's show that Dallas Goedert is a player that I would be very concerned about if I was the Chiefs, from, you know, taking the Saquon situation out of it, because they're going to factor for AJ Brown. They're going to have to factor for Devontae Smith. They had to do it 2 years ago and they struggled. But Dallas Goedert, even when he went out of the team and he was on IR for 4 weeks, the impact of him, he's huge. We saw in the playoffs against the Packers. It's not necessarily just scoring the touchdowns in the red zone. It's these big plays. He got a few against the Rams, and some of them were called back for penalties on the other side of the field that weren't relevant to the play itself. And he lost out on the, you know, possible potential touchdowns and big plays. He's a huge player, and he's, for me, I won't say he's underrated, but he doesn't get the kind of headlines in which he deserves. So he's, for me, you're looking for a player on Sunday when we're on Monday morning when we're saying, God, is the only player we never thought of. He's the player. And for the Chiefs, I think DeAndre Hopkins, he was brought here to Kansas City. He's brought to Kansas City to be in these big game situations. And his career, I wouldn't say slightly tailed off, but obviously he's been moved around quite a bit, and he's been frustrated, you know, and he was kind of admiring the Titans this week for giving him this opportunity to go and play in a team. And that, a few years ago, we saw players step up for the Chiefs. We saw last year, again, Harbour scoring the winning touchdown, didn't do a lot during the season. I wonder, is Sunday the game we see DeAndre Hopkins comes of age? Not comes of age, that's not the right word. He's had a stellar career, but he hasn't had a huge season for the Chiefs. And you wonder, is it him or Hollywood Brown, and one of these other players that comes out and it's not worried that we're talking about? Maybe the guys, those are the two guys are the worthy candidates to win MVP.
We're in business.
Sunday. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what the selections are within the team come Saturday when we close out our season, I guess, and our Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, as you can tell, ourselves, the Irish NFL Show, will be bringing plenty of content across social media, podcasts, YouTube, and other video platforms as well, from here in Radio Row and at Super Bowl 59. But now, thank you very much for listening to the Irish NFL Show.